I grew up in Pennsylvania, and I have the distinction of having been born on a farm.
I grew up on a farm.
So I was born on a farm, if you will.
I grew up in Montana. I'm a cowboy at heart.
Father was a farmer.
We were in Sunbury, Pennsylvania, which is a rural community, farming community.
When my parents were about 20 years old, they decided to live a simpler life, and they basically moved to rural West Virginia as a way of going back to the land.
I rode and trained horses as a child.
Well, I was brought up in farm country of Pennsylvania, and I had my share of work picking tomatoes and doing farm work.
So I grew up in the bush, very much. I come from a fifth-generation Australian family and always very much in the bush.
Between the time I was 17 months old and 5 or 6 years old, I spent on a farm.
So we went to Idaho when I was 9 years old, and we settled in a little farming village.
We lived on a mini farm.
Well, I was born on a cattle ranch, spent my youth on a cattle ranch.
I think it had an influence in the sense that farmers are entrepreneurs and they are their own boss, and so I think that sort of settled into my psyche.
Hard work. You learn how to focus on a farm.
People in the cities romanticize the bush in the same way that Americans romanticize the West. It's not to be romanticized, actually. It's a pretty tough and rough place.
It is kind of strange for someone to grow up in a house with not a lot of technology to become a faculty member at MIT, but I became an engineer in part because I was good at math and I liked problem solving. But I think the childhood has influenced me in terms of how I bias technologies. That is, I give value to technologies that are maybe simpler or local, and I think that does come out in my research and my work.